It's not good. Hello. Can you hear me? Mohit, can you confirm? Or Tika?
Yes, you're good. Let's start.
Okay, great. Okay, so cool. Thanks everyone for joining. This session will be in English, unlike the other talks of Mezink Academy, which have been in Bahasa. So bear with me on that. And yeah, feel free to put your questions and queries in comments. If I'm going too fast, let us know in the comment section, right? So we'll adjust accordingly. Okay, great. So again, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining on a Friday afternoon. So let's get started. So Mezink Academy, we have been organizing a few talks, and our focus is to contribute to the content creator and creative community in Indonesia, especially by organizing a lot of virtual workshops, webinars, podcasts, inviting a lot of creators who are doing good, and then share their knowledge and experience with all our audience, and motivate other people also to get started with whatever things they are interested in. Right. So main objectives, as I mentioned, is to share inspirational and educational stories with our followers, with wider audience in Indonesia, and provide information, training, and some sort of non-formal knowledge where we have maybe one-on-one sessions as well, and interactive sessions like these will be show you hands-on on a certain software, or talk to you about certain skill sets that the speaker is specializing in. Right. And then, of course, to promote the creative economy in Indonesia, right? And also for helping people to get started with how, if they have some idea, how they can build upon that, how they can start selling, how they can improve their personal branding using Mezink, etc. Okay, so yeah, these are the main objectives of Mezink Academy. And for this workshop, we'll be giving away certificates as well. And also the presentation deck will be sent to you. There will be an attendance form in the chat section. Maybe it's now, maybe it will come later on. So do fill in your details there. If you have any questions, feel free to put in the Q&A section in Zoom, and also follow the Mezink Academy WhatsApp group. The links will be sent to you in the chat section again. So you are updated with what's going to come in the future weeks. Okay. Okay, so let's get started with Figma. So in this session, it will be pretty hands-on, right? I'll show you how things work. So we'll just have a quick overview. What is Figma? How does it work? What are the benefits of using Figma? And then what are the basic, how does the UI look like? And then we'll see how to get started, some tips and tricks. And finally, I'll end up with some resources so that you can get started and with your journey with Figma. Okay, so yeah, so if design tools were cars, so the first one is Adobe XD. Okay, so I'm not sure how the audience experiences with in terms of designing. So you could be a complete beginner who just want to get started with Figma and or just want to know about it, or you could be a already good designer who's using Photoshop or Illustrator, Canva, Adobe suites to create designs. But this is just a funny meme type of post to give you an overview that the first one is Adobe XD, which is part of the Adobe suite. The second one is Photoshop, which is like an old Maruti or Geo Metro car. And in the middle, there is Sketch, right? So which is like a decent Toyota car. And then in the last two are Affinity software, which is like a very concept car, futuristic, and also Figma is like practically the most efficient. It's like a Tesla Roadster. But yeah, just to give you an idea what softwares are there in the market, if people are still doing UI designs on Photoshop, it's really not the best way to go about it. But Figma, Sketch, Affinity, these softwares go very well depending on what purpose you're trying to solve. Right. So why Figma? Again, it's really free. It's very free for it's free for individuals. All you need is an internet connection and a laptop. right? Or a desktop or a machine where you can open a browser. It could be, doesn't matter if it's on Linux or Windows or Mac. As long as you have a browser and internet connection, Figma would work anywhere in the world for you. It's very collaborative. Multiple people can work on the same file simultaneously. Doesn't matter their system, hardware, location. They can all collaboratively work on the same file. So that's really a great thing about it. It's very fast. It's optimized for browser, right? So you can later in the demo also we'll see that Figma reacts very fast, how you can create different elements, etc. Right, and also there's a mobile companion app. So when you are creating the designs, of course, if you're on a desktop, usually you would work on the desktop on Figma, so you can preview your designs, the web-based designs. But if also you are doing mobile designs, there's a Figma mobile app on which you can real-time mirror the screens and then see how the mockups look like. So it really gives you a good idea of how your designs are going to be at the end. So how to get started? Since this is a 101 session and I wanted to keep it more interactive and less of a step-by-step overview of the whole suite, we'll take a different approach. So, and again, if you are just starting as a complete beginner, it's best if you take up an existing design from the various free Figma resources that are out there, and then try to copy the elements. I think that would be, in my opinion, the best way to get started, rather than starting from scratch, making every rectangle and text on your own without having design principles and UI principles in your mind. So, and that's what we are going to do, okay, today in this session. So let's jump straight away to the hands-on session. Okay, so this is Figma. Okay, this is how it looks like. When you go to figma.com, you can create a new file, and we can just quickly do that as well. Okay, so you go to figma.com and you of course create an account, which is free. You can get started almost within less than a minute. Just click on new design file and it will open a new file for you. Okay, so I'm not going to go through every single feature here, but we'll try to replicate some UI designs which I have collected, some simple ones, and then when we are trying to replicate them, we'll come across various elements that you might need for a typical workflow basis. Okay, so let's try to take a very simple one. Let's try to replicate this design, let's say. Okay, how do you get the designs? First things, so just type on Google Figma resources, and there's tons of resources on Figma. So the very first link says figmaresources.com, which is a great source. And then there's also the Figma community. So these three are really good sources. And once you are here, you can click on, let's say, UI kits or mobile kits, and then you can copy these files or download these files and open in your Figma and get started. So let's say you are on Figma community. Okay, this is the official community by Figma. And let's say we go on the community, you filter mobile designs. Okay, and let's say we take this one. Okay, so you click on it, and all you need to do is click on get a copy. Okay, so someone has contributed to the community. He has created all these designs, and a lot of them are actually editable. So once you click on get a copy, it will open a new tab. It will create a copy of that file so that you can start editing on it. And close the other one. Will take a time to load. And then once it's done, then you can start reusing the elements. And most importantly, you can start deconstructing the elements. Okay, so once this is open, you can see there's a panel, there's a header bar on the top, there's a left panel and there's a right panel. For people who have used Photoshop, Illustrator, they'll be slightly more familiar with the pattern of arrangement. But even if you are completely new, that's totally fine. It's very straightforward and easier than Illustrator and Photoshop, in my opinion. So on the left side, you get all your layers, basically all your pages or frames. If you have used PowerPoint, it can be all your slides, basically. So I'll go to the design tab, and here is where I can see all the designs. So if you press Control and scroll in and out, you can zoom in and out of the canvas. So you would call this a canvas or a file area. Okay, and then you can zoom into certain areas and check various designs. Okay, and then it's already editable, so you can just start editing. So once you find a file which you think you want to replicate from the community, from the free resources, just open that file and duplicate it, and then you can get started. Okay. So that's how you would duplicate a file from these some of these websites. Okay, so let's get back to this. So let's say we want to replicate. You found some starting screens, and you want to recreate this just for practice. Okay, so the first thing we can see is, again, on the left side there are some layers. There are these elements. Okay, so every single element, so even the text button, it's all a separate layer. Okay, but it's okay, no need to go too much in detail. We'll just get started and see how we can replicate designs as quickly as possible. So first thing we can notice is that it's a rectangle. So first we need to create a rectangle. On the top we have all the shapes, but what this is it's not a rectangle, it's a frame. Okay, it's similar to artboards in Illustrator, or it's simply your working space in Photoshop. But basically a frame is your interface. So it could be your mobile, it could be your web page, right? It's different from a rectangle. Rectangle is just a shape that would come inside it, but this is a frame. So this frame we can export as an image and do various type of things in it. So once you have created a frame, which came from here, you can also press F. So whenever you hover over an icon, it will show you the shortcut. Always recommended to use shortcuts, right? So you draw a frame of any size, okay? But then let's say we want to replicate, so we want this size. Once you click on the header, it will show you the size here at the bottom or here as well, okay? And the good thing about Figma is that you can also check what type of designs are there. So if I press F, I can see that, okay, I can import all these types of templates. Okay, so let's say this is iPhone 11 Pro, and let's stick to that. So I'll press this one. It created an iPhone 11 Pro frame for me, so I don't need to do this one. If I need to adjust that, so I can simply copy, okay, 375 cross 812. So 375 is the width, of course, 812 is the height. That's the standard height and width of the screen we would use to design a screen for iPhone 11 Pro. So I could simply go here. This is the width and height, and this is the frame header. Okay, so width I can put as 375, height is already 812, and now I have a frame which is exactly the same as this proportion. So let's remove that, use this screen. Okay, then the second thing we notice is there's an image in the background. Okay, so there's a few ways to go about it. Firstly, we need to find an image. So a great resource for finding free images is Unsplash, and let's just Google search here docs. Okay, let's try to pick something that suits us. So let's say this dog is looking up, there's a header on the top, and I guess let's try with this one, right? So in Unsplash, you can just simply right click, copy image, go back to your Figma, and then paste it. So if you paste it directly, it will come floating like the real image size. But if you click on the frame and then paste it, it will come inside the frame. Okay, then you can resize it. Once you double click, you can do certain things. You can fit it, which will basically, my laptop is stuck. So if I click here again, you can fit the frame, fit the image. You can crop it as well, or you can fill the frame. Something wrong on my side, but yeah, let's just resize it. So let's say you resize it to somewhere here. And again, so once you are starting to use some resizing options, you can see these red lines that are coming in. So Figma is very good at snapping things. It will snap to the edges, corners very precisely. Okay. So once I move this, I can also move it. So it's showing me, okay, this is center aligned, the image, right? So there's lots of snapping functionalities. So let's say we are going to use this image. And I'm not very happy with the roads at the bottom, so let's move it down a little bit. Okay, cool. So this is something we can work with. Okay. Then the second thing we need is text. Okay, so that was one way where I clicked the frame and pasted the image inside. You can also create a rectangle and then keep clicking on the rectangle and paste the image inside it. So again, works on the same concept. You could fit in the image, fill, crop, or tile it. But basically then you can, I would usually keep it filled, and then you can resize the rectangle to whatever your frame size was. Okay, and then it will auto adjust the size. So Figma is very smart in terms of auto adjustment, right? So whichever space style you want, and then you can always double click and change the locations. Okay, so we got our image. Let's start with the text. So the next thing up here is the text button. So T for text, you can type the T shortcut on your keyboard as well. And then we'll just start typing the text. So let's say we just copy it over. So what you notice is that the text keeps on running. So how do we make it like this? So when you have a design you are replicating, just click on the text as well. Sometimes it will be grouped. So keep double clicking on it until you see the options. Okay, so now my text is selected. I can see that in the text header, what's my font size, what's my font style. Okay, Figma uses Google fonts, but you can import your system fonts as well from Mac or Windows. Okay, so but Google Fonts generally is a pretty good library to work with. So it's using Interfont with a bold style and 40 font size. So we'll use the same. Okay, so I can go here. It's already Inter bold, and I just need to increase the size to 40. So that's the correct size. And then you can notice it's running over. So by default, Figma will create a very long line for you. You will have to resize it to suit your needs. Okay, so let's say I resize it, I color it as well. This is obviously white, but let's say it was some different color. What you can do is then there's a fill part here at the bottom. You can click on the fill icon. You can change the color from here, like a typical color picker, right? So could be white here, but you can also use the eyedropper tool. People with Photoshop, Illustrator, or any editing software might be more familiar. So you can just pick the color as well. I really like the eyedropper tool. It will show you a zoomed version of where you are pointing on the top right corner. So that's really helpful when you are picking colors very precisely. So we have it white, but let's say we want to have it in 3 lines, and we want to adjust the position also exactly so that it's really having some good proportions. So if I click on this in this text, if I press Alt on my keyboard, so Alt for Windows and Option for Mac, I can see the relative spacing from all the sides. So from the left and right sides, it's 30 pixels. And from the top, it's 73 pixels. Usually for mobile, we will follow either multiples of 8 or multiples of 10. Okay, so it could be 10, 20, 30, or it could be 8, 16, 24, 32, that type of grid we will follow. Okay, so 73, from wherever I copied, this person might have not accurately, aligned that part. I'll just move it 3 pixels up, so it's 70. So let's say we want to do this. Okay, so 30 pixels from the side, 70 from the top. How do you do that? So again, I will click on this, check how much I'm having right now. So 51 and 35 from both the sides and 80 on the top. So by keep pressing Alt, you can see the dimensions, but otherwise you just use the arrow keys to move it up, like how you typically do in any software. Okay, so that's 70 from the top, and then the sides you can readjust. So let's say 38, move it to the left, and then 43. You can do some math. Okay, so I need 30, so I need to increase 13 on the width. Width right now is 302, so I can make it 315. Okay, so now it's 30 from both the sides and 70 from the top, or do Control Z. You can also copy the frame size. So this frame is 315 cross 114. You can do the same here. So I can do 315. And this part is not highlighted because there's a few ways you can do box adjustments in Figma. So if I click on this arrow, this is auto width. It will make a straight line. Okay. If I do this one, it is auto height. So, and then the last one is custom height. So the custom height will give custom height to your box. You can change whatever you want. Auto height will automatically snap the height. Okay, so let's not go too much in detail, but yeah, ideally you should keep it on auto height so that it's fitting in nicely. Okay, so now we have the text on the header, which is similar to this one. So 70 from both the sides, 30 from the side, right? Then we need this text. So either you can copy paste. Whenever you copy paste, it comes on top of the existing text, or you can simply press Alt or Option on Mac and then drag it to make a copy out of it. Okay, let's put the text here, save our live. Obviously, we want to make it smaller. So let's check the font size here. So this is a group. Okay, when I move it, it's both the texts are moving in a group. If I want to select a single element inside a group, I can press Control on Windows or the other option on Mac, Control on Mac, and then I can click on this. So this will allow me to select individual elements in the group. So this one I can see inter font again, regular style, 20 font size. So I'll do the same. So from bold, change it to regular, change it to 20. Okay, and that's there. Okay, then again check the size. So again, Control click or Command click, and I press Alt. I will check the spacing. So it's showing it's 2 pixels from the bottom of the box account. So I'll do the same. Right now it's 67 pixels. So I'll move it up and then 2 pixels. Okay, so it's looking exactly the same. Okay. From the sides it's 30 because we copy pasted it, but you can always adjust the spacing using the arrow keys. Right. So, and then the only thing left is the button now. So button would definitely be a rectangle. Okay, so we draw a rectangle here, any size. Control click on this rectangle, check the size. So 64 cross 725. So not super precise with the size. Let's make it 725. Be a bit more accurate. So 64 cross 725. So let's do it the same. 64 cross 725. Oh, sorry, that was the position. My bad. So the size is 247 cross 47. Let's copy that over, 247 cross 47. Okay, so that's the size. Then we can notice the corners are rounded. So how to do that? So we'll click the box, and this is the setting where you define the roundness. So let's go through this part slightly in detail. So this is the position. Okay, you can change the position by putting a new number as well. So this is the X and Y coordinate. Okay, so or you can simply click and drag the position. So that was X. If you do it in Y, it's going to do the same. And that's the width and height. So this is increasing the width, and this will increase the height. Okay. So handy tools if you are adjusting free flow. This is obviously the angle, so you can rotate things. And this is the corner radius. Right? So just now we saw that the corner radius for this one is 14 pixels. Okay, so let me zoom closely. You can use whenever you select a rectangle and the cursor is inside the box, you will see these pointers to drag and change your rectangle size, corner radius, or you can simply put here 14. Okay, so then it will make a rounded rectangle. And let's pick the color as well. Let's see if it suits it. So once I click the rectangle, I can see my fill color. Click on this eyedropper tool, pick the color, which is not pure black, but somewhere in the shades of dark gray. So that's fine. And then we just need the text. So again, I can press Alt and copy the existing text I have, or I can start a new text. And this is coming on the back, so you can cut and paste it, or you can right click and bring to front. So now the text is here. Again, check the text settings. So obviously this one we can do, but if you want to copy paste the settings, you can select that element and press Control Alt and C. So that will be Command Option and C on Mac, and then Control Alt V. Okay, so it will copy the properties. So Control C, Control V will give you a copy of the element, but if you press Alt or Option as well, it will copy the properties only and apply that. Okay, so then you can select both of these elements. These are some alignment techniques. So you can left align, you can center align, right align, okay, align from the top, middle, and bottom. Okay, so you want to center align this and middle and center align. So now it's perfectly in the center. We can group this. Okay. And then we want to keep it in the center of the frame. So let's check the spacing as well. So this one is 40 pixels from the bottom. And obviously if it's in the center, there's 64 pixels left on the sides. So what's the spacing for this one? Okay, maybe I copy pasted accurately, but so this is also 40 and 64 from both sides. So that's good. Okay. If it was something above, we could have always moved it using the arrow keys. One tip for center aligning to the frame. So you can select any element and just click on this one. It will automatically align to the center of the frame. Okay, so that's a quick tip there. And then obviously this has a rounded corner as well to mimic a mobile phone. So we can select the frame, 32 pixels on the corners. We can select our frame, 0, change it to 32. So now we have something which looks very similar to what our reference was, right? So that was quite basic. Let's try something slightly more complicated, and we won't recreate everything, but let's try to look at the new type of elements that are there and how to replicate them. So again, this is iPhone 11 Pro. I will press F, or you can go click here, frame 11 Pro, and then click on it. You get a frame here. Again, you can snap it to the alignment here. So we can do the white. So I'll be slightly quick with the things we have done, but also keep talking about it. So rounded corners, 32 pixels. Okay, we have some text coming here, some boxes. Okay, so these boxes would be simple rectangles. Okay, let's draw a rectangle here and check the size of it. So this is 318 cross 46. So I can do here 318 cross 46. So I have a similar rectangle here. I can click on this, press Alt, and check the spacing. So it's 29, 28 from the sides, and from the top is 177. Ideally, you should start from the top. So let's copy this over. Let's do it from scratch. So just now I had clicked here. That's why it could take the style. So when you are doing text elements, let's say I click on this one, and now I press text. It will copy the last element that you have clicked. Okay, so that's a good tip as well. So of course, you can copy the font properties or Control-Alt-C, Control-Alt-V, so it will copy them over. This is 100, let's say 100 pixels from the top. So this is 98, 100 from the top. And this one is about, let's say 29 or 30 pixels from the sides. So 29, 30, let's say, that's good. Then the box is about 35 pixels from the bottom of this. Okay, so right now it is 22. So let's change it to 35. And from the sides, it is, again, let's say we want to keep 30. So that's your box. Then you click on the box, check the corner radius, it's 10 pixels. So make it 10. And the color we also want to pick. So you use the eyedropper, pick the color, right? So there you have it. Okay, very quick, less than 1 minute, you can start replicating the designs. Okay, and then you can just press Alt and copy these things. So 35 between all the boxes. Okay, so 35, and then I can copy another box. It will automatically snap. So you can see the smartness of Figma in terms of alignment, snapping, and intelligent positioning of elements, right? So it can automatically tell me that, okay, yeah, stop there, right there. It's already aligning to the elements you have created previously. So that is good. And then we can start adding text as well. Okay, so that's a full name. And obviously it's darker. So let's check this property. There is some dark text here, the dark color. So I'll change that, copy the color code, right? So it's getting there. Okay, so we'll skip this part. Okay, I think you get an idea. Okay, let's come to icons. Okay, there's a few ways you can insert icons in Figma. The easiest way would be to just Google free icons. There are tons of resources out there from where you can get like really good icons which you want. And again, this is redirecting to the community page, and I can see icons here. Okay, so you can choose from here, open a file, replicate it. So let's try this one. Okay, there are 1,600 icons in this file. So click get a copy. Good thing about Figma is you can copy elements from one Figma file to another Figma file without any problems. Okay, so maybe it's a heavy file, so it's loading, but I can show you some of the black and white icons I always keep as bookmarks on my Figma, on my browser. So this page is taking time to load. Let's skip this one. And I'll open the other Figma files which I'm typically using for my icons. So yeah, drop any questions if you have. I can see there are some comments in the chat. Mohit, Bika, please update me if there are any relevant questions for which I need to stop in the middle and answer. Okay, so yeah, these are all the icons we have, right? So this is a icon set which are all white in color, and there are different styles. There are fill icons, there are stroke icons, there's a whole bunch of stuff there, right? So you have a lot of icons here, and then this library is about black icons. So if you need black icons, you get again lots and lots of icons here, and there's tons of other resources where you can get free icons for Figma. Okay, so let's get back to our file, and let's say we want an eye icon. Okay, I can search from here, which might take a while. There is an assets panel on the left. Okay, if someone has created the file in a very systematic way, you should be able to search from here. Okay, so when I key in I can already see there are a few I icons here. I click on this one. It will not redirect me, unfortunately, to that part, but I can see that. Where is it coming? I think it's coming here. No. Here it was. Okay, so there are some I icons here. Okay, so I can pick some from here. Let's say we pick this one, copy, and go to your Figma file and paste. So you have your icon here. Or there are some other tools. So one is plugin. So if you go on this part, go to plugin and find more plugins. You can search for a plugin called Iconify. Okay, so I have it running already, but once you search for it, it will also come up. Okay, you can install it. I have it installed already, so it's showing me run. So Iconify is a really good plugin you can use. And how to use the plugins you have installed. So right click, go to plugins, Iconify. Okay, and here you can search for any icon you want. So let's say preview. Okay, so I'm getting a few icons. Let's say I'm happy with this one. And then I can say, okay, let's pick this one. And then I can say import icon. Close this and my icon is here. Okay, so Iconify also has great icons where you don't want to, go to other files, search for things. You can also get it here. Okay, so this icon I can move here in my frame and place it. Let's check the positioning of it. So it's 24 cross 24 pixels. It's in a box and it is 17 pixels from the sides and 11 from the top. Okay, so let's try to quickly do the same. This is 48 by 48. We can change here the width and height. It's good to always link if you are proportionately scaling. So let's change to 24. Okay, and this is a vector icon. So it's not changing the line width. For that, we have to go inside, change the line width maybe to stroke to 1 pixel. So it's basically the stroke, right? So it's the thickness of the line, right? So I think 1 is good enough for now. We can maybe keep it 2. Let's try 1.5. I think that looks okay. And then let's check the color of it. So the color is this one. We can copy the code here, go here, copy the code, paste the code here. So that's a similar item. And we can adjust the spacing as well. So 17 from the sides and 11 from the top and bottom. So there you have it. Okay, and then of course you can drag and copy the text. It will automatically snap smartly once you are dragging in the middle of the box. So here you can see it's snapping to the middle, right? So you can quickly snap and then rename the text. So similarly, you can follow for other texts as well, right? Make the boxes, tick mark is an icon, rectangles, add text in there. These are just vector images. So basically, if you want to put something like this in your background, let's say we go to Iconify again, and I'll search for paw. And I'm happy with this one. Let's try this. Import icon. Okay, so that's a really big paw there. Reduce in size. There's a few ways you can deal with this to get the light color. So I'll rotate it slightly. Okay, let's say something like this. And we push it to somewhere here. Okay. When you click on your frame, it says clip content. If you don't clip it, then it will extend things outside your frame. But if you keep the clip content on, it will not show you the things that are going outside. Okay. So if you're working on Figma, you're wondering why my stuff is going outside, I'm not having a clean edge. It's because your clip content might be off, or the item is actually outside the frame. So even though it seems like it's inside, but you have to take the item, bring it in the frame. You see the blue box that is coming right now, right? As soon as I bring it in, so it's becoming part of the frame, which is basically under this group here. Okay, so let's bring it back here. And you can change the opacity of this item, okay, of the layer. So I can change it to, let's say 20%, and it will change it. There is another way where you pick the color. So this guy has put some strange color in here, some black blue theme, and changed it to 5% opacity. So if you want to copy this, Control Alt C, click this one, Control Alt V. Oh, it's copied to the rectangle. So I have to click on the paw and then Control Alt V. So it's copied the properties from here to there. Okay. Or you can change the color, keep 100% opacity. There's a few ways to go around it. Okay, so yeah, that's about it. And then again, same with Google icons. You can search for that icon, make a rectangle, give it corner radius, put the icon there, check the spacing, 30 pixels, 30 pixels, group them, position them properly from the sides, etc. Okay, so that was slightly a few more features. We checked that icons and other stuff. Let's check this one. Okay, so this has some shadow going on, and the button also doesn't look like a straight fill, right? And we know how to insert an image. We know how to make a box and a rounded box. So let's quickly try to recap some of these features and also try some other things. So I can click. So this one is not saying iPhone or Android or what. So whenever you click on the frame, you can click on the frame icon here, frame text, and it will show you which frame it is. So again, this one is also iPhone 11 Pro Max. So I'll click outside, deselect it, click on the frame 11 Pro Max, and I have the same frame here. That's good. I need an image here. Let's just copy this guy. Okay, but you can get it from Unsplash also. So they have put a PNG, and then the background they have put manually. Okay, so we can do that as well. Click on your frame. Click on the fill part. By default, it will always be white. You can use an eyedropper. Pick the color, so you have your color. Okay, let's not go into patterns. They have created some patterns in here, but let's not do that. Keep things simple for now. Then there's a rectangle. Okay, 344 cross 309. I'll just make some random size for now. Let's say you have a rectangle here, 340 and maybe 300 wide. Side spacing right now we can adjust. So again, you may not want to adjust the side spacing. Just click on the center align button and then make sure these are integers. So right now it's showing 37. Let's make it something more whole number. So 34. So that's 30 from that side. I need to increase 8 from here. 354. Yeah. Okay, so it's 30 from both the sides. I'm happy with that. White color, of course. So you can type the color code. If you just press F, it will change to white. If you press 0, it will change to black. For people who are familiar with colors. Click on this, check the radius 27. You can put the same 27. Okay, text we can recreate. You know how to do it. Let's get started on the button. So this height is 309. My height is slightly less. Let's make it 310. So it looks proportionately the same. Okay, so for the button part, again, let's do a rectangle first. R for rectangle, or you can select from the top. Check the size, 221 cross 62. Okay, so you can put here sizes. Usually I would, if I was doing it, I would keep it a whole number, like a rounded integer. So 220 cross 60 sounds better to me. But then you have to check the spacing as well. How much is the spacing? So if you are following rules of 10, you would want to keep 20 from the bottom, and let's say 70 from this side and 70 from the other side as well, or 60, 60. And if you're following rules of 8, then you would want to keep 16 from the bottom, 8 to the 16, and 64 on both the sides, something like that. Okay, so it depends what type of grid the organization or your product is following. So let's increase the width by a few pixels, 62 to 6, right? Okay, so this one is following a grid of 8. So 16 and 64. Okay, let's make the corners rounded. So in this one, we can see the corners are completely rounded. The easiest way to do is give it a very large radius. So let's say 50 pixels. Okay, so it will make it very rounded corners. Or you can, as we did it the other side, click on this, drag it all the way in until it's completely rounded. Okay, then this one has a linear gradient. Okay, so once you click on an item and click on this, you have a few options. So the one is solid fill, which is the hexa code, and you can change the code from here also, hex code, HSL, HSB, and you can assign linear gradients. By default, it will do something. You can have radial, angular, diamond, and you can also put an image inside a button. So basically, this is a rectangle. You can put image also. So let's do linear, and I don't want to recreate it. There would be some options at the bottom, maybe if you have done something, or otherwise you are using another file, it might give you some options here. I don't have any styles here, so I'll just copy it from this one. You can click on this color, just delicately click on the side here. You can do Control C, copy. Click on this button where you want to paste. Click here and then Control V. Okay, so it's copy pasting, but individual properties, right? So once I have clicked here, I can copy the shadow pattern. I can copy the fill style. I can copy the stroke style if it's there. So this is another tip. You can copy paste individual settings if you don't want to copy all the settings from Control Alt V. So that's there. Okay, and then it has a shadow option here. So let's get to that. Let's reposition it quickly. So this is 63 and 24. I think we positioned already. So okay, haven't been done. 64 and let's say 30 from the bottom. That's good as long as it's symmetric and making sense. Okay, then for the shadow part, so stroke is basically just the border of it. Okay, you can change the stroke to, let's increase the stroke. So inside, outside, and center, there are 3 types of stroke. So that's center stroke, that's outside stroke. Those who want to go in more detail can explore. And then you can hide the properties or remove the properties as well. So let's say this linear previous one, the default grayscale is no longer of any use to us, so we can completely remove it. Okay, so that's gone. Okay, so now my button is here. Text I can definitely add in. Let's try to add the shadow. So in effects, once you click on effects plus icon, it will automatically do a drop shadow by default. And these are some settings. You can explore more what these all mean, but basically this is the extent of the shadow. So if I do, let's say Y direction is 4 pixels. So the shadow is moved 4 pixels in the Y direction, okay, towards the bottom. Of course, if you do -4, it will go on the top. So it's reverse from how we would typically do it. But positive 4 pixels on the Y means bottom shadow. And similarly, positive 4 on the X means towards the right. So that's a convention you'll just get used to it. So let's say 4 pixels towards the right and left. And then the blur is basically how blurred your shadow is. So you can see the effect when I'm changing it. So 0 would be like super sharp shadow. And the more we increase, the more blurred the shadow gets. Okay. Usually it's a good rule to keep the blur at least 2 times your shadow offset size. So let's say you're doing 4:4, I would keep it at least 8 or 12, 2 to 3 times, so it looks good. Default Figma is 25% opacity. So again, you can 100 would be completely black, which never looks good. I would suggest keeping somewhere between 10 to 15. 25 is also a bit too much, but there you have it, your shadow. If we check what settings this person has given, so he has given 1 pixel, 2 pixels, 4 for the blur, 25 for the shadow, and then 2 for the spread. So spread is how much you want the shadow to spread, basically. You can see that. Okay, so we have the shadow. Of course, you can add the text, and then you have it. Okay, these are simple circles. So circles you can get from the rectangle part. Just draw circles. If you draw randomly, you can, without clicking anything, you'll draw random shapes. If you press Shift, it will draw a perfect circle. If you press Alt as well, it will give you a center and radius pattern of circle. Okay, so those are quick tips. Then yeah, so this one is good. Let's see if we have something interesting here. Yep, so this one has, let me change the color of this so that it's more visible. Okay, so for this one, again, we would want to check the size. So this is iPhone 11 Pro Max as well. Click outside frame, 11 Pro Max. We got the screen. You can get your image in there. Let's try to get the box, see what's special about this box. So let me copy paste the image from this one to this one. Oh, copied everything. So I'll just take the image. So I clicked it, control and click. If I select the whole thing, it's a group, so everything is moving. But if I press control and click it, I can select individual elements in there. If it shows like this, just now what it did, it means the font is not in your system. Okay, so you can check, okay, this font is SF Pro Text. Just Google for it and then install in your system, and then this error will go away, or you can change the font style. So this white box has corners 2 corners rounded and 2 corners sharp. The simple way to do it would be to draw a rectangle, okay, and then snap it to your sides, make it white in color. So I'll put F here, okay, and then check the radius. So the radius is 30. Okay, I'll put 30. A quick way to cheat it would be just to drag it beyond your beyond your canvas or output. Let's keep it towards the bottom so that we can see the difference. So, okay, bring it back. So when we put a radius, it applies evenly to all the sides, and you can't pick and choose from individual ones. Okay. But if you want to quickly do it, just drag it down, make sure the constraints are there, and then it's fine. It's not visible. If you want to do it the proper way, you have to click on this button on the side, which gives you individual control of the radius, and it shows you which corner it is. So this one is the top right corner, top left corner. Okay. This one is the top right, bottom right, and bottom left. So these two have to be turned to 0, and then you have it. Your bottom corners are 0 pixels, so that's snap, and then the top ones are 30 each. Okay, so yep, and then I think the remaining things we have already covered. How to get an icon, buttons. So again, this button, let's say you want to create, quickly draw a rectangle, remove the fill. You can hide the fill or just delete the fill, add the stroke, and then you have it. So once you give it certain radius, let's say 8 pixels, give it some light gray color, so you can start getting there. Okay. Icons and text and spacing. There is also, although this is just an introductory course, but Figma has very powerful components, what we call it. So basically what a component is that it auto adjusts based on the text inside it. So let's say I've created this button. Okay, let's try to create a component out of it. And I have my text inside. Okay. And maybe on other spaces you have different text. So this spacing is 46 from both the sides and 13 and 14 from the top. If I select both these elements by pressing Shift, there is an auto layout option here. You click on auto layout, it will automatically adjust all the spacings. So it has taken that, okay, 10 pixels is from the top, 46 from the sides, 13 from the top, and 10 is your spacing between items. So the next time when you do any text, the button will auto adjust, which is like super cool feature to have. Okay, so it could be login, it could be sign up, and your button keeps the spacing you have set by default. So this is very handy, and then you click on it, press center align, it's there. Okay, so instead of adjusting the sizes every single time, you do auto layout in many aspects. There was one UI just now. So this fellow has done a lot of auto layout options here. If I squeeze this, his whole design adjusts automatically, which will not happen if you try and squeeze this part. Okay, it's adjusting, but not in the same way. Okay, the icon is getting squished, the text is also getting squished. But if I auto adjust this one, the text is rolling over or coming outside. It's kind of partially smartly auto adjusting. So this is because the person has put in effort into auto layout of a lot of items. So inside a group also, each box is auto layout in itself, so that these are centrally layout. So these are really advanced controls, but yeah, auto layout is there to save you a lot of readjustments and reworks. All right, I think that covers some of the basic things. Let's go back to the slides. So let's go through the resources.
Sakit, before we go to the resources, let's do questions. There are a bunch in chat and the Q&A.
Okay, I'll open the questions here. Help me with the translations wherever it's required. So I'll go to the top. Okay, someone needs to help me out.
Maybe I can translate for you, Sakit.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you for the explanation, Sakit. So there is a couple of questions. Maybe we can start from this. From Ahmad Karyawan, he asked about, can we use Figma for the animation?
Yes, so there is what type of animation that would really depend, Ahmad. So if you are talking about prototyping, which we have not covered at all, Figma has a very advanced, very good prototyping tool where you can animate and show the actions. So when we are using browser we are hovering over a certain item, it pops up or changes color. That type of animation you can do specific to UI changes for mobiles and websites. But if you're talking about proper animation videos, making things move, no, not really. It will be, Figma is not the right software to do, video animations, things you would do in After Effects or those kind of stuff. Hope that answers that.
Oke, jadi tadi Ahmad Hariawan tadi nanya tentang animasi ya. Bisa di Figma, tapi memang nggak mungkin kalau di aplikasi lain lebih expert. Tapi kalau di Figma kita tetap bisa, cuman hanya yang simple aja. Gitu. Terima kasih nih untuk Ahmad Hariawan pertanyaannya. So the next question is, does Figma have shortcuts key?
Oh yeah, quite a lot. When you hover over any key, one important thing I forgot to mention. So there is a comment box as well, which we use a lot. So C for comment, and you can just add the comment. And then you can tag people as well, all the people in your teams. And so Figma has a comment section as well. But yes, shortcuts, there are a lot of them. When you hover over something, it will show you all the shortcuts, whichever ones are available, right? So yeah, yes, Figma has shortcut keys.
Oke, thank you. So ini yang tadi bertanya tentang shortcuts. Jadi Figma punya shortcut. Ini termasuk mungkin Nisa bertanya tentang shortcut. Di situnya udah ada, jadi nanti bisa dilihat langsung di Figma-nya. Udah ada shortcut yang bisa kalian gunakan. Next question, is the app available in offline mode?
Yes. So you can, good question. You can go to File, Save Local Copy. Okay, and then it will take a while, but download the file on your system. Okay, I think it already downloaded. And then when you are opening Figma, if you're offline, you can go to File and I think there's a new import part. I think if you double click that file which you have downloaded, it will open it up. You can do all the work there, right? Of course, you will not have internet connection, so you cannot search for icons, but yes, you can work on your Figma file. Let's say you are on in flight or not having internet access, and once you are back online, then automatically it will sync for all the changes that you have done. So it's quite smart in detecting what things have changed when you were offline, and update them once you are online again. If there are clashes, if two people have worked on the same thing, it will show you the clashes and ask to resolve as well. Good question.
Oke, guys, terima kasih juga nih udah ya tadi ini sebetulnya banyak banget pertanyaan di kolom chat dan di kolom Q&A, tapi karena waktu kita sudah terbatas dan udah mau beres juga, jadinya mungkin kita akan sudahi saja sampai di sini. Terima kasih banyak atas pertanyaan yang udah diajukan, dan mohon maaf kita mungkin nggak bisa jawab semua pertanyaannya. Nanti di grup, karena kita punya grup, bisa ditanya juga di sana nanti apabila ingin ada pertanyaan terkait tentang Figma dan lain sebagainya, itu bisa ditanyakan di sana. Tapi saya berterima kasih untuk teman-teman yang udah bertanya juga di kolom chat dan Q&A. Oke, Sakit, maybe that's all because we have limited time.
Dika, there are fewer questions on the chat box. Let's cover those as well.
Oh, okay.
So can Figma be used for layouts? What type of layouts? I cannot get it. There are wireframe mockups. There are, you can do social media posts as well. You can do posters. If you can be more specific what we mean by layout, I think that would help. So quick one. So if you go to Figma community, usually you would not jump straight into designs. After you have reached certain maturity, you would want to do wireframes first. So you click on wireframes here, and then you can see the wireframe structures sample files, which would look something like this. This is a good example. Yeah, so you would do wireframe boxes. If you are meaning that sort of layout, yes, there are templates and files you can do this. Okay, have we covered this one? Dika?
Yeah, I think. Yeah. So maybe we can answer a couple of questions more. So from the chat box, we have a couple of questions. Let me translate for you. So there's a question from Muh Saputra. He asked about if we are a beginner, how about the workflow as a UI designer from the beginning and the process?
Sorry, Sherry, what about the workflow? If you are just
the workflow as as a
So,
beginner.
yeah, I think you would want to practice a lot of replication. So once you have replicated a few designs, go to the Figma community and free resources. Try to pick a few designs in the mobile or website, works for both. So one question is around, can we do website designs with Figma? Yes, of course you can do it. Right. So there's lots of templates for website designs as well. You can see here, right? This one is a website, and there's a few more. This is a website as well. Yep. And I would recommend you replicate the designs. Once you are more comfortable with it, you can take apps like Instagram, TikTok, and try to replicate their designs to improve your skills. Okay. And in terms of the workflow, you would want to have some base. You would never start from scratch. You always have some resources you can leverage on until you are becoming a really good designer where you can start really from scratch. You know the spacing, you know the font sizes, you know all the colors and variations. But typically you would set up some sort of design system first, where you define all your different types of colors you are using, fonts for title, description, buttons. Once you have that design system ready, then you would start taking elements and start drawing your screens. But typically you would draw the flow first. Some people like to do on paper and pen, using paper and pen. So you do your flows and then convert to wireframes, then start making the designs. So there's a whole lot of process involved in how you would design a final flow.
So ini tadi mungkin sedikit saya jelasin sedikit. Jadi untuk beginner memang harus banyak membaca, terus nanti bisa gabung juga di community Figma-nya itu sendiri untuk terus berlatih gitu ya. Terus mungkin akan mengarah ke sistem dari si cara berpikir kalian juga. Ketika nanti udah terbentuk itu akan jadi lebih bisa explore gitu, dari sisi desainnya kayak gitu. Nah, Sakit, so is it Figma? We should subscription on Figma, or is it free?
No, it's free. It's free. So there is a paid Figma as well with slightly more advanced features. In the free Figma, you cannot have more than 3 files. So I would say 3 projects in general, but inside a project, you can create multiple pages. So this is page 1 here, right? I can add a new page 2, which is completely different, and I can keep adding pages. So you can have any number of pages in Figma, which is great. So, but in terms of if this is one project, one file in together, you can only have 3 files. That's the restriction of free Figma, but it's more than enough to get you started and start doing some works. So yeah, it's free. I would say 99% of the stuff you would need.
Oke, ini jadi tadi yang bertanya Ahmad Heriawan lagi nih, tadi nanya apakah sifatnya free atau berlangganan. Sebetulnya free, tapi untuk beberapa fitur yang lebih advance itu tetap harus berlangganan gitu. Nah, about the landing page, it already answered ya. Okay, maybe we can have another one. Is it a good question? I think. What do you think about? Is it better Figma or Canva?
Okay, so Canva is really limited in it's different purposes. It's really different purposes. You cannot do a lot of detailed pixel perfect good design. Some people can do, but it's not the right tool to do UI designs. If you want to do UI UX, you would really want to do Figma. Most industry people use Figma for it. Yeah, of course you can do in Photoshop as well. But, so Canva is not the best tool to do it.
Oke. Ini jadi dari tadi Zenke ya, pertanyaannya apakah better Figma atau Canva. Jadi memang beda tujuan penggunaan dari Canva sama Figma. Kalau Figma mungkin lebih ke UI gitu ya, UI UX, tapi kalau Canva ke desain yang biasa. Tapi tetap mungkin untuk tujuannya ketika kita memang pengennya lebih ke UI UX, itu better di Figma dibanding di Canva. Karena kalau di Canva kita juga tetap bisa pakai aplikasi lain kayak Adobe Photoshop dan lain sebagainya. Kayak gitu.
When someone is asking about responsive prototypes, so you would want to use auto layout feature there, right? And tweak with the settings. So that's a whole module. Once you're comfortable with Figma, you want to explore, you should explore the auto layout part, which will allow you to responsively adjust the designs when you are changing things. Okay. Yeah. That's there. Yeah, Dika, you'll have to go through the questions. Will you teach about UI or UX, or what will be done? Or is it like an earlier question? So this one was more about UI. UX is a whole different process where you are mostly working with wireframes and a lot of brainstorming on the flows. What should be the options? This is more of the UI stuff that we have gone through today. UX would be like all these things. What options should come in? What should be the process? Do we show it here? Is there a new page for it? All that is part of the UX stuff. Interesting. Figma for design. What to do in your opinion? What project idea should I do to practice editing, designing skills from the easiest to the hardest? So again, I would say try to recreate some of the Figma community files. Okay, I think there's tons of resources there. You can do maybe a food delivery app. Just search for anything. There's just so many things. This looks really nice. If you, let's say you do food delivery app, you replicate this Figma file. Okay, get a copy. Try to recreate these designs. It will give you a good. Okay, this one is paid. So look for some good resources. Replicate them. Once you are done with it, you can take Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, mobile applications. Try to recreate their designs from scratch on your Figma. And then maybe based depending on your interest and course curriculums, you can start doing other things. If you really want to challenge yourself, there's something called Neo Config Designs, which would be slightly more complex, right? That would be really testing your skills in terms of effects and stuff. These type of things where you feel the buttons are embedded inside your system, inside your screen textures. And then nowadays there is glass morphism as well, but that might be too advanced. But yeah, just recreate designs, focus more on the user experience, user flow. What is the right process rather than trying to create more complicated designs. Simple things work the best usually. Okay, any speaker?
I think maybe we can move to the last question. This is about the UI library kit. Is it matter to have like a library UI kit in UI design?
So there is a library you can make actually. So if you go to design, anywhere you have created certain patterns, let's say for the text, you can always save these styles. So if you go on this one, you can save the style. So let's say header. Then this is a header style. You can go here and apply that style again, okay, header, and then it will do that styling. So a lot of people for large projects, we would create these styling guides, which would help us to define again a design system. So that's a kind of library, and that library you can use in multiple projects. You can import them as well. Right? There's ways to do that. Won't go in too much detail, but yeah, there's a whole bunch of things around how to create libraries, how to create design systems. Does it really make sense for your project? Is it really, or you're doing more of fast prototyping and you don't want to spend a lot of extra time developing systems and libraries? So depends on a few things.
Oke, tadi dari pertanyaan dari Zen ya, apakah penting? Sebetulnya penting karena dari library itu kita bisa kayak gini, semuanya udah bisa ditaruh di situ, terus bisa melakukan multiple pekerjaan juga di situ, sehingga ketika kalian menggunakan itu akan lebih gampang dan akan lebih mudah juga dalam pengerjaannya, seperti itu. Jadi memang bisa dikatakan itu penting gitu. Oke, I think
Okay, I'll switch to the slides again, just a few more items, and then we'll come back to the questions if there are any remaining.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So resources quickly. So you can go to figmaresources.com, check the filters, whatever things you are working on, interested, illustrations, wireframes, UI, mobile web. You can find them here. You can also go to figma.com/community. The filter on the top is really good. So you can dwell deeper into whatever things you are more interested in. If you want icons, you can search for icons in the Figma community. There's lots of them, or you can just Google free Figma icons, or you can specifically Google, okay, let's say, flag Figma icon or chair Figma icon on Google, and it will give you definitely somewhere a file which has a chair icon created in Figma. And you can search here as well, simply chair icon or something, right? So icons is easy to find. This one I did not update the screenshot, but for images, you can go on unsplash.com or freepik.com. Unsplash mostly has free images. Freepik, some are free, some are premium, so you can filter that. If you want to know design principles, there's a very good website called uxengineer.com/principles of design. You'll get these slides, so you can check there, but this has really good overview of what are the different design principles. So these are user interface UI design principles. Okay, and then there's another one for design systems. If you're working with the developers, called Material Design Library. So this goes in much more detail and practically what are the best practices to do certain things. So this is a very good resource as well. Yep, and then you need to practice. Without practice, you really cannot achieve a smooth hand flow on creating designs. So the more time you spend doing things, deconstructing things, just pick up files and just curiously check how they are giving certain effects, etc. Practice would really help you improve your designs. One small thing, because that design system part came in, when you click on certain element, there is a inspect part also. So this gives you the CSS code for that particular element. So if you are working with developers, you can get the CSS code, or they can get it and copy paste to actually build it on the application or on the website. So all the elements, you have the CSS codes here. All right. Yep. So yeah, I think that's about it for the Figma introduction part. Just a very quick hands-on, how to get started, quick and dirty type of introduction. And so Mezink Academy is basically curating these talks, and Mezink is a free mobile application which will help you create a really nice looking link in bio website, where you have a lot of features to display your social media links, to connect, to showcase your products. You can sell digital products from there. You can get user data using forms. You can create invoices. There's a lot of features there that you can use based on your requirements. So it's it's a very powerful platform that you can use to, even if you are not selling something, if you are simply a person who is going along their day-to-day job, it's still good to have your website. So you can put your social links there. Okay, you can showcase some of the things you like or you don't like. It doesn't necessarily all have to be yours. You can just aggregate links as well. So visit the website to know more. Yep, so you can scan the QR code if you want. It will redirect to your website. The application is available both on Play Store and Apple Store. So download it there, create your Mezink, share it in the community, join our WhatsApp groups. There's lots coming in. Okay, yep, that's about it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Sakit, for your explanation. This is very detailed, and thank you for teman-teman juga untuk yang udah gabung di Mezink Academy kali ini. Saya mengucapkan terima kasih. Tadi kita extend lagi nih karena beberapa pertanyaan yang ternyata banyak banget interest dari teman-teman gitu ya. Kita jadinya extend gitu. Oke, mungkin Mezink Academy untuk episode kali ini saya cukupkan sekian. Terima kasih semua yang sudah gabung di Mezink Academy terkait Figma ini. Jangan lupa nantikan untuk Mezink Academy selanjutnya, karena kita pasti akan selalu hadir menghadirkan diskusi-diskusi dan juga workshop yang menarik untuk teman-teman ikuti nantinya gitu. Oke, maybe that's all, Sakit. Thank you. Dan sekali lagi terima kasih kepada teman-teman yang udah bergabung. Oke.
Everyone for joining. Yeah. Thanks, Dika.
Ya, thanks. Bye-bye.